So welcome back to Silverstone. The rain is pouring down. It's round 12 of the MotoGP World Championship. I'm Nick Harris, sitting alongside me, Matt Burt, down in pit lane. It's Dylan Gray.
Marc Marquez on pole position for the 6th time this year, ahead of Lorenzo and Pedrosa. Valentino Rossi quick in the wet warm-up this morning. He heads row 2 in front of 2 of the Yamahas, Pol Espargaro and Bradley Smith.
Row 3, Scott Redding, Cal Crutchlow and Andrea Iannone. Row 4, Aleix Espargaro, Yoni Hernandez and Andrea Dovizioso.
5th row headed by Maverick Vinales, Stefan Bradl and Loris Baz. Row 6, Jack Miller, Hector Barbera and Danilo Petrucci.
Row 7 for this 20-lap race, Eugene Lafferty, Alvaro Bautista and Nicky Hayden. Row 8, Mike D'Ameglio, Claudio Corti and Carol Abraham. And completing the field, the man from San Marino is Alex De Angelis. Let's try again then. Here we go. Sighting lap. Remember last time? The riders went on their sighting lap and every single one of them came back into pit lane. The race should have started in pit lane. It was too dangerous to start. Quite rightly, it was delayed. I think they'd be a lot happier going out this time on those full wet tyres.
So yeah, start of the warm-up lap for the 2nd time here at Silverstone. There is Cal Crutchlow. Happy memories of that wet Aragon round for him last September. He was on the podium, the only time he scored a podium finish on the factory Ducati.
And you can see now the rain is with the helicopter shots as they come towards Maggots and Beckett's down for these fast flowing corners. The rain now is absolutely pouring down. It's Marc Marquez that leads the way. It's Marc Marquez in pole position for the 3rd successive time here at Silverstone. Rain still pouring down. Start delayed. Lorenzo and Rossi joint leaders in the World Championship, and Marquez 52 points adrift. Will the rain make any difference? Valentino Rossi led the way in the rain this morning. Will he repeat that this afternoon?
On board on this warm-up lap with Bradley Smith. Is this a great chance, the best chance of him to get his first podium finish of the season, his 2nd in his Premier Class career, adding to that brilliant 3rd he took last October in Phillip Island in Australia. The field gingerly through that Vale section. Great crowd here, the British fans, 73,000 have braved the elements here to see whether Valentino Rossi or Jorge Lorenzo will leave round 12 with the outright lead in the MotoGP World Championship.
Well, you've got to think both of them would have to go out, wouldn't they? Somebody's going to be leading the World Championship properly by the time this 20-lap race is over.
Yeah, and based on what we saw in the wet warm-up session this morning, you've got to fancy Valentino Rossi slightly over his teammate Jorge Lorenzo.
That's a brilliant crowd here, isn't it? That's the biggest crowd we've had at the British Grand Prix for a long, long time. Wow, look at that spray as they come down the Wellington Straight into Brooklands. That is proper wet now. That's a proper summer afternoon on a Sunday in Great Britain.
It certainly is. Here come the field down through that Wellington Straight. There's Eugene Lafferty, of course, a World Supersport race winner here at Silverstone back in 2010. He's had 4 of the podium finishes in World Superbikes. The field now streaming through the Woodcote corner to complete this warm-up lap. They'll form on the grid for the 20-lap British Grand Prix.
Marc Marquez can ride in the wet, can make mistakes in the wet. We wait and find out. Chases his 2nd successive win here. Great ride with him and great race with him and Jorge Lorenzo last year. There you go. You don't need telling, do you? Lorenzo Rossi, absolutely equal. 52 points down Marc Marquez. Yamaha can't take a gamble here, really. I think Rossi will take a gamble. I think Lorenzo may go for the points. What do we know? What do we know about the weather? We may live here. What we do know is that 20 laps of the Silverstone circuit will test these riders to the limit in the pouring rain. Round 12 of the MotoGP World Championship is underway.
Brilliant start from the 2 men at the top of the grid. Jorge Lorenzo's going to get the whole shot into the 1st corner. Pol Espargaro got a great start from 5th. Pol Espargaro already up into 3rd. Lorenzo leads the way. We've got a couple of falls at the back. That looks like is that Jack Miller. Lorenzo leads from Marquez. Pol Espargaro. Rossi is in 4th. Danny Pedrosa's dropped back to 5th. Bradley Smith started 6th. That's where he is at the moment. Marquez trying to hit the front on Lorenzo.
Oh, Marquez and Lorenzo. Here comes Paul Espargaro trying to get up the inside of Marquez. You'd think they'd be taking it a little bit more carefully. It is
Johnny Hernandez, yeah, couldn't quite see from the helicopter shot. It was a red and white bike, sorry to Jack Miller, but Lorenzo still leads the way. Paul Espargaro really attacking Marquez. Marquez has got the inside line, has the Espargaro, looks up the inside, can't quite make a move at the Stowe corner. Valentino Rossi still in 4th place. Bradley Smith has picked up Dani Pedrosa. Bradley Smith now up into 5th place. Lorenzo leads. Paul Espargaro now finally through on Marquez. The Spaniard on the number 44 up to 2nd.
We ride with Bradley Smith. Smith has picked up a place. He's got past Dani Pedrosa. Dani Pedrosa gets past him once again as they come up to the club corner. Right behind Bradley Smith is Cal Crutchlow. Lorenzo, where he likes to be, at the front as they come onto the international straight.
Valentino Rossi there sweeps up. We're riding on board with Marc Marquez into this fast Abbey corner, and he's been passed by Valentino Rossi. Next in sights for the number 46 is Paul Espargaro. Great first lap from the former Moto2 world champion. He started this race in 5th place. Rossi immediately tacks Espargaro. Espargaro now, can he get hold of Marc Marquez? Valentino Rossi up into 2nd place.
Oh, Marquez and Espargaro, remember those Moto2 battles that caused so much controversy.
Marquez now back up into 2nd by Valentino Rossi, who was momentarily dropped back to 4th a couple of corners ago. Was Marc Marquez down the Wellington Straight for the first time. Jorge Lorenzo leads the way. Marquez 2nd, Valentino Rossi in 3rd. Look at Jack Miller, the Australian there, now at the inside of his teammate Cal Crutchlow. Jack Miller, the Australian rookie, started this race from 16th. He's already up inside the top 8. Brilliant from the rookie.
Lorenzo at the front, Marquez closing him down. We ride up probably, well, there's Jack Miller on the outside there. There is Cal Crutchlow trying to get back up his side of his teammate, and he has done exactly that. They cross the line. So Pedrosa, Smith, Crutchlow. Lorenzo leads the way.
Rossi back up the inside of Marc Marquez on the brakes into Copse corner. Rossi into 2nd place. Lorenzo leads by just under half a second. Spray pouring out from the 2 Yamahas at the front of this field. Rossi now closes right up on his teammate Lorenzo through Maggots and Beckett's. Paul Espargaro still holding Dani Pedrosa off for 4th place. Back on board now with Marquez. The 2 factory Yamahas in front of him.
Well, we haven't seen a real head-to-head between Rossi and Lorenzo all this season. This could be it. Marquez in. This is the 3 we wanted at the front, let's be honest. The rain may be pouring down. Rossi makes a move up the inside of his teammate going into Stowe. Valentino Rossi momentarily leads, but Lorenzo fights back.
Yeah, Lorenzo just out a little bit wide, brings it back to the apex, holds on to the lead. Jack Miller is up into 7th place. What a start to the race by the Australian teenager on the open class Honda. Lorenzo now down into Vale. Rossi coming under real pressure from Marc Marquez. Back on board with the reigning world champion through this fast right-hander turn, number 10, club corner onto the international pit straight. Lorenzo leads.
Well, we had to wait for the start. Boy, was it worth waiting for. What a race we have here. There is Pedrosa. Crutchlow having a great ride. Jack Miller has come from absolutely nowhere. But at the front, this is going to be one hell of a battle. Forget the rain. And Rossi has got past Lorenzo. Listen to the crowd.
The crowd go wild. Great block pass there by Rossi. That was at the village corner. The only time on this lap that they hit first gear. Rossi now into the lead of this race for the first time. Marc Marquez straight up the inside of Jorge Lorenzo on the run to the entry corner. Lorenzo led the way 2 corners ago. He's been pushed back down to 3rd place. Rossi leads the British Grand Prix.
Formula One fans at Silverstone, eat your heart out. This is MotoGP in the rain. Unbelievable stuff at the front.
What a contest there as well between the 2 LCR riders, Cal Crutchlow and Jack Miller. I'll tell you what, Bradley Smith's having a really difficult start to this race. He's dropped back down to 8th place. Scott Redding has also had a tough first couple of laps. He's down in 14th place. Back with the race leader, Valentino Rossi through Woodcote corner for the 2nd time. Best lap of the race from Rossi, 2:21.807, 3/10 quicker than Marquez. Crutchlow now on the offensive up the inside of Paul Espargaro. Crutchlow into 4th.
They come down through this magnificent Maggots Beckett's Chapel complex. The spray kicking up from the rear wheels of these MotoGP machines. Rossi the fastest lap. Valentino Rossi leads here at Silverstone. They come through the Chapel Curve onto the hanger straight for the second time, and he is flying, Jack Miller, as is Cal Crutchlow.
Jack Miller up the inside of Pol Espargaro through Beckett's corner. Brilliant from the Australian yet again. Jack Miller now up inside the top 6. Pol Espargaro fights back. That's the Yamaha horsepower. Jack Miller won't have the horsepower on that open class bike. Crutchlow now at the inside of Lorenzo. Lorenzo slipping back in this field. Marquez and Lorenzo pulling away. Crutchlow now in the podium places.
Rossi leads the way. One podium finish in all his races here at Silverstone. Oh, we have a faller.
Oh, it's Miller and Crutchlow, the two teammates. Jack Miller was up the inside of his teammate, Cal Crutchlow. What a nightmare for the LCR Honda squad. 35 and 43, crashing at the Vale corner. Crutchlow had just moved up into 3rd place. What an absolute disaster. The two LCR Honda teammates in the gravel, trying to get back in this race. Podium hopes over for both of them. Back at the front, Valentino Rossi leads the way. Marquez still in second. Big plus for Jorge Lorenzo. He just dropped back behind Cal Crutchlow. He's now back up into 3rd place.
What a disaster for both of them, but looked like Miller took Crutchlow out, didn't it? But here we are, back at the front, down the Wellington Straight. Marquez has Rossi, well, I'd say in his sights, through the spray it's got him in his sights. There is Lorenzo, just got a glimpse of Pol Espargaro and Danny Pedrosa. This could be a massive, massive race for Valentino Rossi. Crutchlow back out there, but any chance of even points, and certainly any chance of a podium, have disappeared for Crutchlow, who was having such a great ride.
Yeah, he just moved up into 3rd place by Jorge Lorenzo. There is Jack Miller. Well, it had been an absolutely phenomenal first 2 laps from Miller. Rossi has just crossed the line to start lap 3. He's 0.3 of a second clear of Marquez. Dylan.
Well, yeah, look, guys, just in case Cal Crutchlow's bike is a bit too damaged and he does want to continue, the team, they were just about to fire up his number 2 bike, which is also set for the rain, but they've decided to wait to see if he comes in.
You've got to say, Dylan, conditions seem to be getting worse out there at the moment. It looks like the rain is pouring.
Well, it's continuous from what we had at the start. So obviously more and more water falling, but you know, in terms of the actual rainfall, it's not getting any heavier. It's just constantly wet now.
This is a massive race, isn't it, for Valentino Rossi?
Yeah, we're just quickly coming back to that replay. We did see Jack Miller up the inside of his teammate Cal Crutchlow at the Vale corner. Front end washed away from Miller. Cal Crutchlow caught on the outside, had absolutely nowhere to go. He was taken out. Worst possible scenario for Jack Miller. You never want to crash, least of all crash and then take out your teammate who's trying to get a podium in his home race. They might need a wall splitting that LCR Honda garage a little bit later on this afternoon. This is where it all happened at the Vale corner. You can see the scratch marks across the track where Crutchlow and Miller went down. Rossi still leads this race. He set the fastest lap on the last lap. Crutchlow has now entered the pits. Jorge Lorenzo's got nothing for Rossi and Marquez at the moment at the front of this race. Lorenzo under pressure from Pol Espargaro.
There's Crutchlow. He is going to go back out. Sorry, Dylan, we are watching it on the screen as well. He's gone back out, hasn't he?
Yes, yeah, perfect. No, if you guys can see it, then that's good.
But I've got to say that Lorenzo is now coming under increasing pressure from that chasing pack. Pol Espargaro, Danny Pedrosa, Petrucci and Smith. This could be a massive, massive result for Valentino Rossi. That's how the championship would look at the moment. But I tell you, Lorenzo's struggling a bit. But you've got to say, Marquez can still play a massive part. We have problems here for Pol Espargaro.
Yeah, it looks like Pol Espargaro's just had a run off the track there. Tech 3 Yamaha team boss Hervé Poncharal looks on. He's fallen now behind older brother Alex Espargaro on that number 41 Suzuki. Pol Espargaro was just about to launch an attack on Jorge Lorenzo for 3rd place. It would have been a battle for his first Premier Class podium finish for Pol Espargaro. Valentino Rossi holding off Marquez. They're about to come and complete lap number 4. A long way to go. There could be a monumental swing in this World Championship towards Valentino Rossi. Is that Cal Crutchlow again? Yeah, Cal Crutchlow's gone down the road again
on his second bike. What a miserable, miserable weekend for the British rider. Cal Crutchlow crashes out for the 2nd time. At the front, Rossi still leads the way. He led the way in the morning warm-up when it was in the wet, but Marquez has shadowed him. all the time.
You could just see Cal Crutchlow going through your shot there. So Crutchlow went down on that fast run to Maggots and Beckett's. Rossi still leading the way. Lorenzo is in third place. Danny Pedrosa is leading the charge. Danilo Petrucci has come from 18th place on the grid. The Italian having a great ride. He's in 5th place. It's Andrea Dovizioso on the factory Ducati just behind Dovizioso. Bradley Smith has not been able to keep this front running pace. There he is just at the top of your shot. This is the battle for third. Pedrosa now right on the back wheel of Jorge Lorenzo at Stowe Corner.
Through Stowe they come down towards Vale. Back at Vale, coming into club. Rossi still leads the way from Marquez. So in both sets of races, both sets of battles, it's the Yamaha leading the Honda, but it's very, very close. On to the international straight. Rossi still leads the way from Marquez. Rossi, one podium finisher here at Silverstone. Marquez, race winner here last year. 3 successive pole positions and a 125cc winner.
That mistake by Paul Espargaro, that dropped him from 4th to 10th place. He lost 5 seconds on that 4th lap. Costly mistake by the Spaniard.
Where's this one going? It's very, very difficult to work out, isn't it? We ride on with Jorge Lorenzo. He'd be desperate to keep down Danny Pedrosa back. Lorenzo, I think, might settle now. If he could settle for that 3rd place now in these conditions, you'd say that will do me very nicely indeed. Especially, he's probably thinking Marc Marquez. Marquez is definitely going to have a go at Rossi at some stage, isn't he? Because Rossi is not able to get away from him.
No, and it's interesting in that chasing pack behind these 2 leaders. It's D'Andrea Dovizioso that was quickest on that previous lap. Dovizioso on the charge. He was 12th on the grid. He's gained 6 places already. He's not far behind. He's 0.3 of a second behind Danilo Petrucci. Here is Rossi and Marquez coming through that Woodcote corner. At the moment, Lorenzo doing a great job of defending that 3rd place ahead of Danny Pedrosa. Rossi and Marquez over the line. Lorenzo now is the fastest man on track, 2:18, 2:32. He's 3.3 seconds back of Marc Marquez though, and just edging out 0.6 of a second clear of Danny Pedrosa.
Rain still pours down here at Silverstone. 15 laps to go. Round 12 of the MotoGP World Championship. And it's 36-year-old Italian Valentino Rossi leading the way. Here is Lorenzo, desperate to hang on to 3rd place.
Guys, just a small observation. It is not raining quite as hard as it was. It is still drizzling heavily, but the rain is not as hard as it was. So we need to keep an eye on that if this track is going to start drying out. I don't think so, but just something worth mentioning.
Yeah, we're really peering through the mist now as they come down towards a Stowe corner. Lorenzo, big pressure from Pedrosa. Great ride by Danilo Petrucci on that Marq Ducati. He's lining him up all the time, just as Marquez is lining up Rossi at the front.
Down on the brakes to this tricky Vale section. This is right where Jack Miller lost the front and took out Cal Crutchlow in the very early stages of this race. There's a really good fight going on for 7th place, involving Bradley Smith, the Espargaro brothers, Andrea Iannone and Scott Redding. Redding's fought his way back up into 11th place. This is this 4-rider scrap for 3rd place. Lorenzo leads it at the moment. Then it's Pedrosa, then Petrucci, and then Dovizioso.
So it's Yamaha, Honda and the 2 Ducatis. Vital World Championship points at stake for Jorge Lorenzo. Cal Crutchlow's miserable weekend has come to an end. 2 crashes. Let's have a look. We're just going to have a look at the crash here.
Yeah, this is Jack Miller. You can just see Cal Crutchlow. Jorge Lorenzo just up the inside of Crutchlow. Jack Miller coming from way back. Just up the inside. There wasn't any room there, really, you have to say, and that's going to be looked at by race direction. Poor old Cal Crutchlow. It was an absolutely fantastic ride by Jack Miller. Take nothing away from him, because in the early part of this race, he'd come from 16th on the grid to sit right on the back wheel of Jorge Lorenzo. Well, that's not an image he'll be looking forward to seeing later on. Certainly not when he has a meeting with Lucio Cecchinello. And there's Cal Crutchlow. Well, that just compounds what's been an absolutely shocking British Grand Prix for Cal Crutchlow. On the deck for the 2nd time and now retired.
Back at the front, Rossi still leads the way from Marc Marquez. Gap pretty constant. Marquez seemingly be able to ride the pace with Rossi in these wet conditions, but make absolutely no impression on him as we stand at the moment. The rain still pouring down. I think it's maybe a little bit drier perhaps at the start and finish, but down at Stowe Corner, the far end of the circuit, it's misty, it's wet, it's thoroughly horrible, but the riders know exactly where they stand, and that in itself is important.
Look at that lap time on the last lap. Nothing to split Valentino Rossi and Marc Marquez, both of them doing 2:17.8. Jorge Lorenzo was 7/10 further back. The gap between Marquez in second and Lorenzo in third is up to over 4 seconds. Petrucci up the inside of Danny Pedrosa. Danilo Petrucci now up into 4th place. Brilliant ride from the Italian.
Back at the front into the Vale and now into Club Corner. There is 13.5 laps to go. They fight their way through the puddles, up the International Straight, up towards Abbey Curve. They're linked together. Marquez has not made a move. Lorenzo's done a good job in third. Petrucci, an amazing ride. There is Danny Pedrosa, seemingly now coming under a bit of pressure from Andrea Dovizioso on that GP15 Ducati.
Yeah, it just looked like Danny Pedrosa was about to strike for third place on Jorge Lorenzo. He's dropped back and he's under attack now from Andrea Dovizioso. Dovizioso closes up at that village corner. Still Lorenzo in third place. Valentino Rossi won't know what's going on behind him, but he'll be hoping that the likes of Dovizioso now at the inside of Pedrosa and Petrucci can get ahead of his teammate Jorge Lorenzo. Crucial World Championship points up for grabs, particularly for Lorenzo.
Well, bear in mind, Petrucci's bike is essentially the exact same one that Crutchlow got that podium with in Aragon. We know that GP14, the earlier versions, the one he's got, do seem to work amazingly well in the wet.
We somehow ride with Marc Marquez. That's what he has to face. Spray kicking up from the rear wheel of Valentino Rossi, smacking him in the visor, smacking him in the face the whole time at speeds approaching 200 miles an hour.
Well, the last lap it was 2:17.8 from Rossi and Marquez. This lap it's 2:17.4. There is absolutely nothing to split the top two. 100ths of a second covered them on that last lap. Now Danilo Petrucci now through Maggots and Beckett's. Oh, Petrucci got really close there to Jorge Lorenzo. That was mighty close from the Italian on the number 9 Pramac Ducati. Lorenzo would have felt Petrucci's breath there. That was incredibly close.
Well, he's a former policeman, Danilo Petrucci. He's feeling the collar of Jorge Lorenzo at the moment. He started on 18th place, 6th row of the grid. It's a brilliant ride by him. I'll tell you what, he may have another go as they come down into Stowe. Here they come. Here comes Petrucci up the inside on the Pramac Ducati. There's nothing Jorge Lorenzo can do. Is Petrucci going to hold it? No. Super smooth Lorenzo just holds the advantage.
Danilo Petrucci within touching distance. There's still a long way to go in this British Grand Prix, but this is Petrucci fighting for a career first MotoGP podium finish. Back at the front, Valentino Rossi and Marc Marquez. The gap not deviating between the two at all. Rossi has the advantage by almost 2.5 tenths of a second. Danny Pedrosa still at the back of that battle for third place. Bradley Smith just coming momentarily into shot through Club Corner. Andrea Dovizioso now looking to pose a big threat to Petrucci through the farm curve.
Through the farm curve up to the slowest part of the circuit, into the village corner, then into the loop, and Petrucci tries to get through side by side with Lorenzo. Petrucci has put that Pramac Ducati up into third place, and here comes Dovizioso. Lorenzo's race is turning into a bit of a disaster.
Jorge Lorenzo hemorrhaging massive World Championship points here on lap 8 of the British Grand Prix. The two Ducatis sweep underneath him in successive corners. Danilo Petrucci now third in this race behind Rossi and Marquez. Dovizioso up into fourth. The gap now between Rossi and Lorenzo, if the checkered flag was thrown now, 14 points back in favour of the Italian. We said there was going to be a potential monumental swing in this championship. It's happening right in front of our eyes.
Valentino Rossi, last race victory came at Assen in Holland. He's only had one podium finish here ever at Silverstone. That was third place last year. 12 laps to go. The gap between them, well, it's 0.3 of a second, but it's just been nip and tuck the whole time. Marquez is hanging in there as hard as he can. You know Marquez will have a go at some stage in this race. But the old master in the rain is riding in an absolutely superb race.
It's just incredible the lap times that are being put in by Rossi, Lorenzo and Marquez. They're identical yet again. 2:17.026 from Rossi, best of the race so far. 2:17.098. Jorge Lorenzo at the top of your screen there has now slipped back into 6th place behind Danny Pedrosa. Lorenzo just a few moments ago was third in this race. There he is now into the Stowe corner, back in 6th.
Jorge Lorenzo is in the middle of a nightmare. His teammate Valentino Rossi, he is hemorrhaging those World Championship points.
Rossi through the Veil chicane on lap number 8. Danilo Petrucci is the lead man behind this top two. Here's a replay of the start. It was a good start by Jorge Lorenzo, as we've become accustomed to seeing from a great start as well by Pol Espargaro. He picked off Valentino Rossi really quickly. There's Johnny Hernandez. It looked like he clipped the back of one of the factory Suzuki's, and it was Maverick Vinales who was pushed off the track at that first corner. So a bit of early drama involving one of the Pramac Ducatis. There's another one of those Pramac Ducatis involved in some drama at the right end of this race, because Danilo Petrucci is in third position behind Rossi and Marquez. 12 laps to go.
And certainly conditions aren't getting any worse. If anything, you could say they are getting marginally better. We are now back down to what you call a heavy drizzle. It's better than it has been for a long time. So track conditions are getting better. Lap times should probably increase.
Well, in Oxfordshire, which is just the next county to here, we call that a mizzle, that sort of rain, and that's just exactly what it is doing. Oh, what a battle at the front. It was Marquez and Lorenzo. Really, the last two races have been like this, haven't they? In Bruno and in Indianapolis, both of them winning one of those encounters. But it's the old master, it's the doctor, 9 times world champion, scant regard for the conditions, who leads the way into Copse Corner with 11 laps to go here. Danilo Petrucci in third place, then Dovizioso, Pedrosa and Jorge Lorenzo beginning to struggle in 6th place.
He's beginning to struggle massively, Nick. He slipped back into the 2:18s. He was 0.8 of a second slower than Danny Pedrosa on that lap number 9. Lorenzo now 0.7 of a second behind his great rival. Oh, close there between the two Tech 3 Yamahas, Bradley Smith and Pol Espargaro. Pol Espargaro, he dropped back down out of podium contention in the early part of this race, lost 5 seconds on one of the early laps when he was looking to move up inside the top 3.
Yeah, great on-board stuff. Bradley Smith running in 7th. Pol Espargaro, as we say, made that amazing start. And he is running right behind him. And boy, there is a lot of pride at stake in this particular battle as Espargaro comes through on Bradley Smith. He doesn't want to let him through, but there is no space for the local rider.
At least if they start swapping paint, it is the same paint. Now Hervé Poncharal's pulse rate will be going up now in that Tech 3 garage. Pol Espargaro now up into 7th place. Danilo Petrucci still doing a great job. He's holding third ahead of Andrea Dovizioso. He's half a second clear of the factory Ducati rider. Jorge Lorenzo really is struggling now. He's almost a second behind Danny Pedrosa in 6th place. Fastest lap again from Rossi, 2:16.486. It was just over 1/10 of a second clear on Marquez, but Rossi can't put any clear daylight between himself and the reigning world champion.
They come on through the Aintree corner onto the Wellington straight. That red light piercing the mist, the back of Valentino Rossi's Yamaha, under the bridge, nearly 200 miles an hour, down through the gearbox, over the pumps, into Brooklands. Just seeing your way is difficult as much as anything else, especially when you're following somebody, and especially when you're following somebody as quick as Valentino Rossi.
Marc Marquez now look right on the back wheel of that factory Yamaha of Valentino Rossi, accelerating hard now up through the Woodcote corner to complete lap number 10. We're halfway through this British Grand Prix. Rossi leads the way by just over 1/10 of a second from Marc Marquez. Marquez the quicker man on that last lap by 0.3 of a second. Petrucci, Dovizioso, Pedrosa and Lorenzo fighting from 3rd to 6th. They've all just put in their personal best laps of the race. The quickest of that quartet was Andrea Dovizioso in 4th.
Marquez certainly now has closed up on Valentino Rossi. We're at the half distance. Will he make a move yet? Will he wait? When he won here last year, he made his move halfway round the last lap when he lost out to Jorge Lorenzo 2 years ago. It was the last but one corner he lost out in. They're linked together as they race down the hanger straight into Stoke Corner. 9.5 laps to go here at Silverstone.
Remember what happened the last time these two fought all the way through the race at the Dutch TT in Assen at the end of June. We don't need to remind you what happened there. It came down to a bit of argy-bargy and that final chicane. It was Rossi.
Bit of argy-bargy.
Well, I was trying to be kind. Here is Marc Marquez again. No, on this lap number 11, really close to Valentino Rossi through the club corner onto the international pit straight. These two well clear of Danilo Petrucci in 3rd place. In fact, they're almost 7 seconds clear of that battle for third. Petrucci still over half a second clear of Andrea Dovizioso. Dovizioso just cannot get close enough to launch an attack. Lorenzo trying to creep his way back into that fight. He's picked up a couple of tenths on Pedrosa. Dylan.
Yeah, also now, guys, when Rossi does come round on the main straight, his pit board for the first time will be telling him Lorenzo P6. So I think, do you remember what Meregali told us on the grid? He says, we are asking these guys to be careful. They know there's a championship at stake. So, yeah, he's going to be telling us, they're going to be telling him P6 Lorenzo.
I don't think Valentino Rossi would take the slightest bit of notice of that. He wants to win this race. Marquez is closing up. What we know will happen if Marquez, and perhaps when Marquez goes by, Rossi would come back at him straight away. It's going to make one hell of a... Where is Marquez going to make his move? They're going to cross the line. There will be 9 laps to go. I get the feeling he's going to make a move pretty soon. He is running the same pace or a little bit faster pace. We run with him now through Woodcote in the most atrocious conditions onto the little short straight and into Copse Corner.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Valentino Rossi's pit board, as Dylan said, P6 Lorenzo. Lorenzo actually now, these two at the front, 2:18s they're lapping at, and the chasing pack, Petrucci, Dovizioso and Lorenzo, they're into the 2:16s. So Danilo Petrucci in third was 1.1 seconds quicker than Rossi and Marquez on that previous lap. Lorenzo was the quickest of that battle for third, so he's coming back into contention.
Super battle. Disappointment at the start when the rain came down, but what an interesting race. Cruel up for Cal Crutchlow, up into a podium position and then get knocked out of the race by a flying Jack Miller, who made an amazing start. Here comes Dovizioso. Petrucci does not want to let him through. Interesting to see the Pramac Ducati in the GP15. Bit of difference in the grunt there, wasn't there?
I'll tell you what, Andrea Dovizioso is famed for being a real strong late breaker in this MotoGP field. Danilo Petrucci, though, he wasn't blinking at the end of that back straight down into this tight veiled section. Dovizioso right on the back wheel of that older version of the Ducati Desmos Adichie. A bit further down the field, the likes of Alvaro Bautista up into 12th. Nicky Hayden in 13th place. Bradle 14th. Maverick Vinales at the moment completes the point scoring places.
This is a tremendous battle. We ride with Andrea Dovizioso on that factory Ducati. That's Danilo Petrucci on the Pramac Ducati, last year's bike. And here comes Dovizioso. Farm thinks about it, not able to go through into Village Corner, then into the left-hander at the loop. Can he line him up there? No. But he'll get good grunt out of here. They're going to be side by side. Oh, classic stuff from Dovizioso. But Petrucci tries to fight back. But you look at the difference of the two bikes when they come onto the Wellington Straight.
So Dovizioso finally makes a move on Danilo Petrucci to take third place. He's 5.9 seconds back of Marc Marquez in second place. Back at the front, still Rossi leading from number 93, Marc Marquez. We're about to complete lap number 12. They were split by 0.07 of a second on the last lap, were Rossi and Marquez. Here we go then, Rossi over the line to start lap number 13.
8 to go.
Just a fraction quicker on that lap was Valentino Rossi. The gap now between Marquez. Marc Marquez has crashed. Marc Marquez is down and out of the British Grand Prix. What a gift for Valentino Rossi. Marc Marquez was trying to pile the pressure on the number 46, but Marc Marquez has crashed out of the British Grand Prix, and whatever chance he had of winning a third straight World Championship, surely that is over now for Marquez.
Coming into Copse Corner over the start-finish line. The end of Marc Marquez's championship dream. Marquez crashes out at Copse. Valentino Rossi could be victorious here at Silverstone and lead the World Championship once again as we ride with Marquez.
Rossi had just stretched his lead to over 0.2 of a second. It wasn't much, but Marc Marquez, he just lost the rear as he tapped the power going through that Copse Corner. It's a 4th race crash in 12 for Marc Marquez. The 3rd time he's been fighting with Valentino Rossi. Cast your minds back to Argentina. Cast your minds back to Aston when he's had a bit of a carve-up with Rossi. He's come off second best. Valentino Rossi now 6.5 seconds clear of Andrea Dovizioso. What a chance for Rossi to win the British Grand Prix and seize the advantage in this World Championship.
Write him off at your peril. And it's the pace of Rossi at the front that caused Marquez to crash.
Absolutely, that was a completely unforced error from Marquez. It was that metronomic consistency from Valentino Rossi at the front of this British Grand Prix. Rossi had a quick look there at the big screen. He won't have probably known that Marquez has crashed out of this race because it was right at the very first corner. He won't have seen a pit signal as yet. So Rossi now, having looked at that big screen, will probably be aware that he's no longer being shadowed by what was a menacing Marquez. Marquez out of the British Grand Prix.
Well, yeah, actually on his board, he's actually not being told. He's being told where Dovizioso is, so he's not being told Marquez out.
There's a great race still for these podium positions. Danilo Petrucci, surely that's the best we've ever seen him ride in a Grand Prix race. I think he won here, didn't he, in the FIM Superstock Championship?
He did, yeah, 4 years ago.
Long time ago. Dovizioso is a British Grand Prix winner, but that was at Donington Park. This is now a battle for second place. Rossi has crossed the line. Petrucci thinks about getting up the inside into Copse. Danny Pedrosa coming under pressure from Jorge Lorenzo. Lorenzo back into fourth. This is important points picking up for Lorenzo. Can he get near the two Ducatis as well?
Valentino Rossi's backed off his pace on that last lap. He was down to a 2:20.6. The man in second, Andrea Dovizioso, was a 2:18.1. Dovizioso 2.5 seconds quicker on lap 13 than Rossi. The gap now down to 3.8 seconds. Stefan Bradl's also crashed out. He was running well in the points on the Aprilia. Now here's Petrucci looking to make another move on Andrea Dovizioso. Dovizioso will have the inside line down into the Stowe corner. No way for Petrucci to tip inside that turn number 7. Dovizioso just holding firm.
Let's keep a very, very close eye indeed on these chasing Ducatis and just see what the gap is. The second split time, the second sector time will come up any moment now as we ride with Dovizioso. Number 9 in his face is Danilo Petrucci. They come on to that international straight. Second sector times any minute now.
Yeah, Rossi's already through. It's down to 3.5 seconds. It was only, it was up to 7 seconds just a few laps to go. This is that battle between the two Ducatis. Danilo Petrucci still on course for a phenomenal career first podium. Danny Pedrosa just off your screen there, trying to snatch fourth place back from Jorge Lorenzo. Petrucci up the inside of Dovizioso at the village corner. He makes it stick. He's got the inside line now into the loop. Dovizioso won't be able to ride around the outside. He can't cut it back to the inside. Great stuff from Petrucci's back into second place.
Inspired riding by the former policeman, the Italian Andrea Dovizioso. Now will get the full power of that GP15 as they race down towards Brooklyn. I think Petrucci's just got to say, you've got that extra power. No, Dovizioso runs in a little bit wide and Petrucci comes back at him and Petrucci is back into second place.
Big puff of the cheeks there from Danilo Petrucci's crew chief Daniele Romagnoli. They can barely watch the screens. Here is their rider, the number 9, coming through the Woodcote corner to complete lap number 14. Yes, he is in second place. Rossi is over the line. The lead over Petrucci, 3.1 seconds.
Is it big enough? Is Rossi managing it at the front? You've got to think he probably is. He's ridden an absolutely brilliant race so far. Valentino Rossi chasing his 4th Grand Prix victory of the season. He would take back that lead in the World Championship from Jorge Lorenzo, who is currently running in 4th place. But let's keep looking at those sector times. Are the Ducatis going to give him a bit of a tough time?
Yeah, and Jorge Lorenzo, he's really got a second wind. He knows that if he can get ahead of those two Ducatis, then it will be a great damage limitation exercise for the Spaniard. He'll only lose 5 points on Valentino Rossi if the Italian takes the victory. Look at the rain, how hard the rain's falling down at that bottom end of the circuit. That's down at turn number 7, the Stowe corner. That's one of the Tech 3 Yamahas, Pol Espargaro. Well, he had a run-off earlier on in the race when he was fighting for a podium position, and unfortunately he's crashed out at turn number 3. That's in between Maggots and Beckett's. Race over for Pol Espargaro in that great fight he was having with his teammate Bradley Smith.
Yeah, and Bradley Smith seems so far to be riding a very, very sensible race, running in 6th place. Oh, that's a horrible looking crash. I think that's Bradley Smith coming under a fair amount of pressure. Well,
Scott Redding,
have a look at Scott Redding, yeah.
Scott Redding just set his personal best lap of the race on lap 14, 2:17.951. That's 0.6 of a second quicker than the race leader Valentino Rossi. Race over for Pol Espargaro, back with Rossi at the front of this British Grand Prix. through that second split. He's gone. He's through that third split now. This is onto the Wellington straight. Let's keep a close eye on Petrucci. It's within 3 seconds. Danilo Petrucci, 2.9 seconds back of Valentino Rossi. We said Stefan Bradl had crashed out a little while ago. He is perfectly okay. Losing the front.
Stefan Bradl going into Brooklands over the bumps into the Brooklands corner, as you say, perfectly okay. Former Moto2 winner here, Stefan Bradl. That year he went on to win the championship. What is the gap at the front? We're about to find out. Valentino Rossi splashes his way through Woodcut. It's not easy out there. There will be 5 laps to go. How close are the Ducatis?
Rossi back into the 217.9s. Yeah, Danilo Petrucci's taken another half a second outside of Rossi. This is not game over at the moment. There is Rossi on the left-hand side of your picture from the helicopter shot. There's the man in second place coming through the mist and the spray. It's Danilo Petrucci. He's doing a great job in second place. There's Marc Marquez contemplating what might have been after another costly unforced error. Crashed out at the first corner while he was fighting Rossi for the lead.
New gap, it's still pretty tight. Keep a close eye. Look at those conditions. They are horrendous. They race down the Hanger Straight 200 miles an hour before they into Stoke Corner. The rain pouring down. Danilo Petrucci, we've always rated him. We've never seen him ride like this before. Can he cause the biggest shock for many years? They're coming into Vale, then to Club, and that all-important second sector time will come up then.
Yeah, and Petrucci and Dovizioso, as you can see there, as they come through Vale, they've started to streak away from Lorenzo and Pedrosa, battling for 4th and 5th. The gap between Dovizioso in 3rd and Lorenzo in 4th is 1.4 seconds. So Petrucci and Dovizioso, it looks like a two-way fight for them at the moment into 3rd. Petrucci trying to drag himself up into that fight to Rossi. He's picked up another 1/10 of a second in that 3rd split. 2.375 seconds now, you can see at the bottom of your screen. Petrucci now through the village corner. We're on lap number 16. Look at the gap now. It's coming down through every sector of this Silverstone circuit. 3rd sector coming up for Rossi.
Yeah, 3rd sector as they come through Aintree onto the Wellington straight. This is going to be crucial. Danilo Petrucci leads the Ducati charge against the former Ducati ride, Valentino Rossi. Down to Brooklands they come. Petrucci number 9, Dovizioso number 4. Never been near a MotoGP podium before, Danilo Petrucci. It's an inspired ride. We go back with Valentino Rossi. When he crosses the line, there would be 4 of the hardest laps of his racing career in front of him.
Rossi through Woodcote to complete lap number 16. Keep an eye on the gap. Rossi over the line now. Petrucci, 1.6 seconds. Danilo Petrucci taking big chunks of time out of Valentino Rossi. They can't watch in the Pramac Ducati garage. They can barely look at the screens. They know their man has got a great chance of not only taking his first Grand Prix podium, his first Grand Prix victory.
Valentino Rossi pushing on as fast as he dares in these conditions. Petrucci, nothing to lose. Harder and harder. Andrea Dovizioso not out as well, but he'd be quite happy to sit in there, being dragged along by Petrucci. Always Rossi's hard work not going to result in a Grand Prix victory. They're down now at Stowe Corner.
Yeah, there's no difference in the tyre selections between the top 3. They're all on the soft, wet front tyre, the soft rear tyre. Has Rossi burned up his tyres a little bit too early? Is he just keeping a little bit in reserve for these crucial final 3.5 laps down to Vale on lap number 17? The gap is 1.4 seconds through the first split. We're about to cross through split number 2 now, through Club Corner. Rossi versus Petrucci versus Dovizioso.
What is the gap now as they cross through the second sector time? And it's 1 point, well, it's just about holding firm, isn't it, at the moment? Rossi obviously knows that they're coming. He's obviously been told by his pit board. Is he playing a canny old game? Has he managed those tyres just a little bit better than the Ducatis? But honestly, they've got nothing to lose. They are pushing on so hard in these conditions into the loop. 3rd sector time coming up. And when they do go across the line, there'll be 3 laps to go.
Rossi through that third split now. It's back up to 1.6 seconds. So Rossi just found a couple of tenths in T2 and T3. Jorge Lorenzo looks like he's finally broken the resolve of Dani Pedrosa in 5th. Pedrosa 1.5 seconds back of Jorge Lorenzo. Scott Redding is winning that British battle between Bradley Smith. Redding up to 6th place. That'll be by far a season best performance from the Estrella Galicia Marq VDS rider Valentino Rossi. About to finish lap number 17. 3 to go for the Italian. He's got a slender lead over Danilo Petrucci.
Across the line he goes, Valentino Rossi, that familiar number 46. 1.6 seconds between Valentino Rossi, Danilo Petrucci and Andrea Dovizioso. Rossi is managing this better at the front now. He knows they're coming. What a ride by Scott Redding. Just announced he would be leaving the Marq VDS team. Well, he's joining the right team. He's joining Pramac Ducati. They're running second in this race. Great to see Scott Redding back on a bit of form. Yeah, absolutely brilliant to see Redding up there in 6th place. He's 1.9 seconds clear of Bradley Smith. Smith now himself coming under real pressure from Andrea Iannone on the second of the factory Ducatis. Iannone's teammate Andrea Dovizioso locked in that battle for second with Danilo Petrucci. Iannone's been the top Ducati rider in the last 6 races. Won't be happening today unless it's some real late drama at the front of this race. Rossi through the first split, still the gap between himself and Petrucci, 1.6 seconds. It's holding station. 2.5 laps to go. What drama here at Silverstone. Down they go towards Stoke Corner, splashing through the puddles. Smith just holding off Andrea Iannone. They had some good battles, didn't they, in 125 and Moto2 classes. Though we're back with Valentino Rossi. Past the Arc, that iconic building on the right, into the Abbey curve. That is the gap from the helicopter.
Guys, I'm just going to have to butt in because we have Marc Marquez. He's just coming up for a media scrum. Let's hear what he has to say.
Bueno, ya estaba complicado el Mundial, lógicamente, pero bueno, era una carrera donde me tenía que arriesgar, tenía que intentar ganar en estas condiciones y bueno, lo más probable que la carrera y he cometido un error. Está claro que he cometido un error porque me he caído, pero ha sido una caída bastante extraña, pero bueno, al final lo importante es que estábamos ahí. Sí que es otro cero en el Mundial, que ahora ya sí que decimos adiós, pero bueno, ahora lo que nos queda es ganar carreras y disfrutar.
Sorry guys, we're just going to get one in English now.
Marc Marquez crossed out while chasing Rossi.
Sorry guys, he's sticking with Spanish for now.
Okay, what did he say, Dylan?
He basically said, look, he was pushing as hard as he possibly could. You know, he thought he was up there, and you know, obviously had to for the championship try and do so. But he did say, look, ultimately it was him that committed the error.
There you go. This man that made him commit the error. 2 laps away from a famous victory here in the pouring rain at Silverstone. His dad, Graziano Rossi, was leading a 250cc race here in 1979. We don't need to remind him now. He was leading by a countryman and he crashed out at Cox Corner on the very last lap.
Valentino Rossi's just started to stretch that advantage at the front. It's almost back up to 2 seconds. I tell you what, Danilo Petrucci's done a great job because he has broken Andrea Dovizioso. Petrucci now is 1.5 seconds clear of his factory Ducati rival. As it stands at the moment, Danilo Petrucci will have a career best 2nd place. Finishes bike bucking and weaving under acceleration out of the Stoke Corner. Can he mount a late attack to take what would be an unbelievable first victory from Valentino Rossi? Petrucci and Rossi actually really good friends. They hang out together at the Rossi's ranch in Tavuglia. He won't want to see his best mate coming past him to take away, what, 5 crucial points.
He's certainly won't, because this isn't just a race victory with Valentino Rossi. He's beating Jorge Lorenzo and he's opening up a little bit of a lead in the championship. It's absolutely crucial.
Get Lorenzo. This is the battle for 3rd. He'd love to get back past Andrea Dovizioso. No sign of Dani Pedrosa. Pedrosa's now 3.2 seconds back of this battle for the final podium place. Carol Abraham's crashed out rider. Okay, back with Valentino Rossi in the lead through the 3rd sector now. Through this fast Aintree corner onto the Wellington straight. It's up to 2.7 seconds. Rossi got the message. It's Rossi's to lose now. He stands on the brink of a 4th victory of the season. He's coming to finish finish this penultimate lap. This will be absolutely crucial in the final reckoning for this 2015 World Championship. There's Lorenzo desperately trying to find a way by Dovizioso. Crucial points at stake also for the Spaniard.
1 lap to go for surely the greatest motorcycle racer we've ever seen in the history of the sport. Through Woodcote Corner. We've seen Sheen, we've seen Roberts race through that corner. We're now seeing Valentino Rossi race into Copse. The master of the conditions, 36 years old, chasing his 10th World Championship. This is a massive, massive moment for Valentino Rossi.
And perhaps even more, just as significant, we saw Andrea Dovizioso there really putting a space between himself and Jorge Lorenzo Rossi now coming through on this final lap. He was quickest in that wet warm-up session this morning. The rain this afternoon, just what the doctor ordered. He's on course to win the British Grand Prix. This will be massive for the World Champion. You can see there Lorenzo's making no impression whatsoever on Andrea Dovizioso. It's going to be a 14-point swing in the World Championship. A 10-point swing, sorry.
And where do we go next? The home of Valentino Rossi at Misano on the Adriatic coast of Italy. Here is Dovizioso in 3rd place. He's got a glimpse of Lorenzo. They race down through Vale into the club corner. Half a lap to go now for Valentino Rossi. There's been some important Grand Prix victories in his amazing career, but this must be very, very near the top. Along the international straight into the Abbey curve.
I'll correct myself, it will be 12 points, of course. Valentino Rossi will take on Lorenzo. It's been faultless, it's been fearless from Valentino Rossi throughout this 20-lap British Grand Prix in really mentally taxing conditions. He's through the village corner. 7 corners of the Silverstone circuit remaining for Rossi. The gap now over 3 seconds. He's broken Danilo Petrucci through the 3rd split now. Rossi coming up to take a crucial victory.
Valentino Rossi on the Wellington Straight for the last time, down towards the Brooklands corner. Everybody in this crowd of 75,000 are on their feet. Salute the master, salute the doctor, salute Valentino Rossi. Valentino Rossi into Luffield, Valentino Rossi into Woodcote. Valentino Rossi wins here at Silverstone.
Rossi comes to the line. It's an 86 Premier Class victory for the Italian, the 112th win of his Grand Prix career. There won't be any more important than that. A great 2nd place for Danilo Petrucci, Dovizioso 3rd, an all-Italian podium finish, but crucial for Valentino Rossi. Yellow flags waving proudly in the rain here at Silverstone. Rossi, the winner of the British Grand Prix. What a result for the Italians' championship.
Scott Redding wins the all-British battle and beats Bradley Smith over the line into 6th place. But this is all about one man. It's all about a 36-year-old Italian. Rossi wins here at Silverstone. What a ride by Danilo Petrucci, with Andrea Dovizioso 3rd, Jorge Lorenzo in 4th place. This championship is far from over.